If you're thinking of selling your home anytime in the near future, you need to understand the exclusive right to sell listing agreement between you and the firm and your individual agent. My goal is to walk through this line item by line item so that you can be the most educated and confident seller out there in the marketplace. I know many other realtors out there don't go over it really in depth. They kind of give it a high level overview. But my goal today is to give you the in-depth look at it, answer any questions that you may have. Please drop them below. I really do read all of the comments and questions and try to get back to everybody. And if you have any questions about prepping your home for sale, I have many videos about that as well. Hi, my name is Nina Gervasi, and I am a top producing realtor here in the Triangle area. And as I said, it is my goal to make you the most educated and confident seller out there in the marketplace. So without further ado, let's take a look at the listing agreement. So as you can see here, this is the exclusive right to sell listing agreement between you and the listing firm. And then at the last page will be your individual agent. At the top, you can see that we also have the term of the agreement. How long are you going to give this firm to potentially try and sell your home? Are you going to give them 6 months, which is a lot of what we see? Are you going to give them less? Are you going to give them more? A lot of times that depends on market conditions, but you will have an expiration date here. And if your home is currently listed with another firm and you're planning on switching, you would have that information here as well. Then there is some legal information about the property location and whether or not you are selling this property along with another parcel at the same time, a combination of two properties. Now, everything you see here are items that must convey with the home. They are given to the buyer with the home. And I'm chuckling a little bit here because these things are listed and they seem a little obvious and ridiculous, but they're here because at some point there was a lawsuit that forced the North Carolina Real Estate Commission to outline the fact that please do not remove the kitchen cabinets, do not remove the bathroom mirror, please leave the mailbox. And if you really want to take something with you that is listed here, you have every right to. We will actually spell it out in this section right here as excluded items. Do you want to take that chandelier? Do you want to take the Nest thermostat? No problem. We will list it here and you will replace it with something else before closing. We will notify the buyer ahead of time. Now, important to note that in North Carolina, the refrigerator, washer, and dryer do not automatically come with the home. So if you plan on giving it with whatever purchase of, whoever purchases the home, then you must spell it out here. You may say, let's see what kind of offers we get and whether or not I will decide to give it. Let's see who asks for it. We can leave it off of here. But if you know that you absolutely are not going to take it with you, then we will list it here and let the buyers know as well. So refrigerator, washer, dryer, not an automatic conveyance. You must consider that personal property that you choose to give or not give with the property when it closes. Then we have the section here about listing price. What did you and your agent decide to list your house at? And also, what will you accept as a form of payment? Now, I point this out because not every area accepts USDA loans. There is a USDA map. You will know whether or not you fall into that. Not all sellers are accepting FHA or VA loans because sometimes those come with some more complications and the seller may feel that their home will not qualify for one of these loans. So again, cash, FHA, VA, USDA, conventional loan, loan assumption, which we really don't see very much of. Seller financing, don't see too much of that either right now, or other. Okay, so you would say what it is that you would accept. Obviously, if you won't do seller financing, we're not checking that box. When will we begin marketing your home? When will we go active? When will it hit the market publicly so that people will know it's for sale and can start coming in to see the house? That is the date that goes there. Now, you have to, as the seller, decide, you have two options, allow public marketing. Think Zillow, Realtor.com, all of the big syndication websites that we're going to send it out to, okay? Or are you going to ask that it be an office exclusive? I happen to have my firm within EXP, so you're saying, no, Nina, I don't want it to go out onto the internet for everybody in the world to see. Only those people within the EXP family can see the house. And granted, EXP is a huge firm and it is not just nationwide, but worldwide. So you would be getting a lot of exposure with us, for example. So you do have the two options of either public marketing, putting it out there to everybody, or office exclusive, only those within your listing agent's firm. Okay. I really, right now, do not recommend coming soon. Coming soon, like let's say 2 weeks before you go active, it's like a teaser that your house will be on the market. When you do that with our MLS, you start accruing days on market by coming soon. And in a time right now, I'm recording this in August of 2025, what we're seeing is that days on market is going up and up and up, and it's having a negative impact on the sellers. So I don't recommend accruing any more days on market than you need. I just right now feel very strongly about going active and having that be it. But as a buyer or seller, it will be your choice. I just need to explain it to you so you understand. The benefit could be a teaser, but the other side, the con could be too many days on market. You look stale by the time you start welcoming people in the door. All right. Having a sign in your front yard, doing open houses, and then that general advertising, both social media, online, everywhere that you can possibly get it out, postcards, the world. Okay. Having a lockbox on your home, I really enjoy having only electronic lockboxes. I feel that it secures the homes better because you get a code to open and close it, or you have to have an app for it. And that means that that code changes every time. When you have one of those rotary ones on the door, somebody could either memorize that and remember and get back in, and you won't have any notification when that lockbox is open. With the electronic lockboxes, it notifies you when the lockbox is open. So I stick to electronic lockboxes only. Marketing risks. This is interesting. I have not run into it myself, but there is always the chance that somebody somewhere could find your property on whatever website and decide, oh, I'm going to pretend to market it as my own listing and I'm going to put it out there also. Again, I have not run into this. You just need to know that somewhere in the world, in the country, in North Carolina, right here, there is the possibility that it could occur. I haven't run into it, doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but there's always that possibility that people steal information online and publish it as their own. All right, surveillance devices. So you can have your surveillance devices on the home, and it says here while it's being shown. However, you can watch, but you cannot listen. And it is spelled out again a little bit later on the form. Okay. You can watch, but not listen. And really, you should be respecting their privacy and not watching them the whole time. So here is the hottest topic in real estate ever since the NAR settlement. Who pays for what? Okay, and I can only speak to what's happening here in the Triangle area at the moment. I can only speak to you for the experience that we've had since the NAR settlement and what I know even my other agents and other firms are going through as well. So let's review this as I'm experiencing it, and I will explain what your ability is as a seller to do or not to do. Okay. So again, the first thing it says is that everything is negotiable. Okay. Important for you to understand there is nothing set in stone. There is no standard. There is nothing that you will be forced to do. Everything is negotiable. Okay, so let's start with the listing firm's fees. There are costs to working with somebody, right? You have your dentist you go to, you pay them. You have somebody else that you go to, your lawyer, whatever. There are professional fees for the services rendered. And here is where you decide, does the firm have a non-refundable retainer? In order to work with this firm, you're going to pay them whatever amount of money up front in order to retain their services. Perhaps there is the whatever percentage you would pay them of the gross sales price at closing. Maybe instead you've agreed upon a flat fee for selling the home. And then maybe there are some other fees associated, such as firm admin fees that are not built in to the percentage for the sales side. Again, it's all negotiable. You could say to a listing agent, I won't pay more than X amount. And the listing agent could say, I'm sorry, I don't work for that amount. This is my amount. It's still considered a negotiation. You could opt to work with another agent and they can opt to walk away. They don't have to just do what it is that a seller wants, and a seller does not have to do what is asked of the listing agent. Negotiable. You don't have to work together if you cannot come to terms on the percentage or the fees that will be given to the listing firm. Understand that. Now we're going to move on to the buyer agent side. And remember, I said to you, I'm only speaking about what we are seeing here in the triangle area. I have not experienced a situation yet where a seller has flat out refused to compensate a buyer agent. I think that is for several reasons. Number one, before the NAR settlement, there was always a separation of a buyer agent and a seller's agent, listing agent. And there was always the understanding that if you were to pay a portion of, this is the portion that would go to the buyer's side. It's something that people here were already accustomed to hearing. They were already accustomed to doing. So we're finding that the sellers are still compensating buyer agent commissions, and that also, again, that amount could vary depending on what it is that you've agreed upon. Also keep in mind, if you flat out refuse as a seller to pay it, that buyer has one, let's say, pot of money that they're coming to the table with. They may not even have a lot of available cash with them. So if they are very tight on cash, they may not be able to both purchase the home with the, let's say, the down payments for the mortgage and all the fees and everything else, and compensate their agent. So this may be a buyer that walks away from the purchase. However, maybe that buyer does have enough money and they say, well, I have this pot and it's a lot of cash, but instead of offering the seller their full listing amount, I'm going to hold back the portion that I have to pay my agent. So now you as a seller receive potentially less money for the home. So there are risks in not offering compensation, perhaps either losing buyers who cannot afford to pay their agents or receiving less money for the home. You could offer compensation and still receive less money as a negotiation for the home. There are all kinds of things that can happen. I just need to let you know. Again, everything is negotiable. You are not set to any requirements or standards. And if you choose to pay, it will be here, it is that you're choosing to pay. And here you would check the boxes with the percentage amounts. Okay? All negotiable. How many times can I say it? Let me keep saying it. That is what the NAR wants you to hear. And it's true, it always was the case here in North Carolina. We just had to spell it out yet again for you on the form. Okay, so let's go down here. Okay, so this section is interesting because there has been cases in the past where the listing agent did everything they could and had open houses and so forth and had the house shown to by other buyer agents while you were under contract. And then all of a sudden, for some strange reasons, I've experienced, I literally experienced this, where a buyer said, you know what, let's cut our agents out of the deal and let's do this on our own. Crazy, it did happen to me. And they literally cut both agents out of the deal, we found out later. But there is a protection period built into this stating, listen, we did everything we could to bring somebody to the table. And if this was somebody who came to see the house and experience the house while I was your listing agent, you have to wait a certain amount of time. And I tend to do 180 days in this form here. After the termination of this contract to then go under contract with that other person. So we're not just encouraging you to go under contract behind our backs. You have to wait 180 days to do so. Isn't it terrible that somebody did that to me? It's ridiculous. Okay, so we understand that portion. Let's come down here to the home warranty section. Do you, as a seller, want to offer a home warranty? I'm seeing more sellers offering home warranties at the moment. I'm also seeing a lot of buyers asking for home warranties. If your house has been sitting for a while, it could be an attractive bonus to somebody to have a home warranty offered to them. So may not even be a big ticket item. I have a fantastic company that I work with, and they have a $750 home warranty that is very comprehensive. Could be a small little hit to your pocket right now, but a big, let's say, selling point for buyers. All right. This is also another hot topic, pre-marketing home inspection. Here's what you need to know as the seller. If you get a home inspection, either you better repair everything on that home inspection, or you're going to have to reveal it to the buyers, because now you have material facts in your hands of things that are wrong with your home. And if you know the material fact and your agent knows this as well, we must reveal these material facts to the buyers. Are you willing to make all of those repairs? Keep in mind that sellers in North Carolina are not obligated to make any repairs whatsoever when requested by a buyer from their inspection report. So if you already know that you are not going to be obligated to make repairs that come as a request, why would you go ahead and get an inspection and spend all that money ahead of time? I get it. Some people are really super conscientious and kind, and I love that. I mean, it's in my heart to be the same way, to give somebody something that you know is good and sound, but you just have to weigh the pros and the cons on this one as well. So will you or won't you do a pre-inspection? Earnest money and due diligence fee. So typically, a lot of the firms like mine do not hold the earnest money that comes in as a deposit. That will be held by the attorney, okay? They have an escrow account and they can be the escrow agent. There are some firms that do have the ability to hold it. I don't recommend it. It just doesn't feel like it's clean enough. It should be sitting with a third party, the attorney, that has no say as to it getting returned or not. My opinion, leave it with the attorney. And then we have to understand, for example, who is getting the due diligence fee? Is it getting made out to, I'll give you an example. If a home is being sold in a trust, the trustee can have it made out to their name alone and then deposited into one of the trust accounts. So we need to specify here, who is the due diligence fee being made out to? How will it be split? And, where will it be held? So here we go. Here we have the information about who it will be made out to. All right. Dual agency. Let's get this right so everybody understands. I am with EXP. I don't know every EXP agent out there, and just because there's another house listed with EXP doesn't even mean that I know the seller. A dual agent is simply the idea that I am under the umbrella of EXP. Perhaps the buyer coming in is with EXP. We do not represent the same people. That is still dual agency because we are under the same umbrella. We don't I will not represent the buyer and the seller at the same time. I practice what's called designated dual agency, meaning I will only be able to protect one person at a time. I'm designated to you as the seller. If I were representing the buyer, to them as the buyer. If a buyer were to come into your home unrepresented, we could suggest a agent for them to work with, or they could continue to be unrepresented. It's their choice. I would still be part only partial to you and designated to you as a seller. So yeah, you should accept offers from EXP agents because there's so many of us out there, as long as the person representing you, me, is designated only to you and not representing both sides. I know that's a confusing one. Now, material facts. Also important to understand that you, as the seller, you actually don't have to necessarily report all the material facts about a home, but if we know something that is material about a home, listing agent must reveal it to a potential buyer's agent. Okay, now let's see, waivers of claims, damages, and so forth as dual agency. Again, if you are going to practice designated agency, that is the best way to protect everybody. Let's go through some disclosures here and representation, whether or not you're working with a relocation company. Have we given you copies of the offer to purchase and the other forms and the disclosures? Have you owned the property for at least a year? Is this a flip? Is this an estate? Are you helping? What's going on here? Do you not own the property? We need to know that as well. Do you have legal access to public roadways, or is this all private roadways, or is this kind of like secluded? You don't even have access to that. Does the property have a mobile home on it? And then we need information about that. Does the property have an HOA? And also, does it have restrictive covenants? Now, there are properties that have restrictive covenants and not HOAs. So understand that that is entirely possible. Do they have any potential disputes, violations with the HOA or anything like that? And is there any potential, what they call special assessments that could be issued for the house? Is the seller a foreign person as defined by the Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act? You will know if you are. Is this home in a flood area? Do you have to carry either partially or entirely? And are you affected by, this is important right now, August 2025, after so many houses flooded with a stream on their backyard or side yard, are there any riparian issues or buffers that the buyer needs to know about? Do you have a creek, a waterway of any kind in your yard or near your yard? Okay. Does the house have synthetic stucco? Does the house have a termite bond? Let's see here. Are you under bankruptcy? That's a question that we need to understand. Do you have, again, this is about the special assessments. It's important to understand that with special assessments, if we know the date that the assessment is due with the HOA and the amount that is due, it is the seller's responsibility to pay that at or before closing. If it's a future assessment in which we do not know when it will occur or how much it will be, then that is a proposed assessment and that is the buyer's responsibility at some future time frame. So a confirmed assessment, seller pays, proposed, buyer pays. All right. Do you have a mortgage on the property? Let us know. And also that you are current on all of your payments, you're not in default, there's no other liens on the property, no judgments on the property, and so forth. So we want to make sure that there's not, let's say, a mechanic's lien, meaning that you didn't pay the roofer who put the roof on your house, or you didn't pay, the electrician. If you had work done, you need to pay all of this off to give clean title to the home. If the home is currently being leased, then you would give information about that over here. If you've had an FHA appraisal within the last 180 days, we have to give that information here. Fuel tank information here, and septic information, as well as governmental regulation. Guys, this is really coming up a lot with impervious surface. If you're somebody who really wants to put a basketball court in the backyard with a big cement like plot right there, you're going to need to get permission for that because that causes impervious surface. So we need to know if the house or the neighborhood has reached its maximum in order for you to know whether or not you can put that basketball court in. All right. And is there any reason that the seller cannot sell the property or other disputes? Hopefully by this point, if we're at the point of signing this listing agreement, none of this is going to come up. So, seller's duty, they promise to give you reasonable access to the house to do your inspections, appraisals, and survey, to provide the firm with all of the information that they need to get the house properly marketed. And also giving information to the attorney for the closing, for the payoff, and so forth. They need to give you clean title to the home. We are back to surveillance photographs and video. Once again, you can have cameras up all over the house. You can watch, but you can't listen. But please don't even bother watching. Don't turn the cameras on. Give them their privacy as they walk through the house. Also, we have photos for marketing purposes that we will continue to use the firm. This gives us permission to use photos after the house is closed, or even if the house never goes under contract, since the firm has paid for the marketing of the home, has contracted to have all of this, the firm does actually own those photos and they could continue to use it for marketing purposes. Other professional advice. So, for example, once you go under contract, here's an example. You may want to use a different attorney than that which the buyer is using. We can give you some names of some attorneys for you to choose from, or you may opt to use somebody that you already know as a real estate attorney. We can give advice as to who we recommend, but it's ultimately your decision who you choose. All right, inspection costs. If you're going to do the inspection, then obviously there is a cost to you. Again, I just recommend that sellers stay away from doing pre-inspections, but that is entirely your choice. This is really critical for negotiation understanding. This part about confidentiality right here. So when the offers come in, if there are 2 to 3 offers, I cannot go to buyer B and tell them the exact terms of buyer A. I can't say, oh, they're going to pay $600,000 and a $20,000 due diligence. Will you do better than that? We cannot reveal the terms of the offer to somebody else. You can negotiate and go back to everybody and say, hey, if you pay this with this, then you can have the house, but you can't tell them somebody else's terms. In addition to that, you could say, hey, Nina, don't tell any buyers that there are additional offers on the property. Don't let anybody know. Or you could say, absolutely, you can let people know that there are multiple offers. Okay? This is something that we will talk about more when you're actually going to market, to understand what the market conditions are dictating at that time. Sometimes you want to say that there are, multiple offers. Sometimes you don't. It's all part of the marketing process. Here is a wire fraud warning, letting you know to always call before sending a wire. If there were any additional terms, they would be here. This is always important to know. With everything in real estate in North Carolina, if there are any changes to the forms, They must be on a legal form created by the North Carolina Real Estate Commission or by an attorney. We cannot just create something and sign it. It must be signed or created by the commission or by an attorney. All right. In addition to that, we have down here our fair housing policy that we are not to discriminate for any reason at all and has everything spelled out there. So much so that we don't even want buyers writing you what they call love letters, where it tells you, like, oh, we have children. Children are a protected class. So we don't even want them to write you a letter about why they want your home. Love letter. And then everybody signs, and that is it. Now, there is one more form that I want to show you, and that is the 220 form. That is the form that you will sign, showing the buyers that you will pay that compensation. So give me one moment, and I will bring up that form. Okay, here we are with the Cooperative Compensation Agreement, Form 220, as we know it as realtors. And this is where you are letting the buyer agents know, yes, I, as a seller, will in fact pay you a percentage or a flat fee for selling the home if you have agreed to do so. If you do not agree to pay anything, you won't use this form at all. But if there is something that you are willing to offer, you would put that here. Now, perhaps you don't even fill this out until the home goes under contract and they have come to you with an amount. Maybe they don't even want more than 2.2% and you have signed this for 2.4%. You don't even have to send this until you know what it is that they're requesting for compensation. So this is something, again, as part of negotiations that you can leave open. But I wanted to show you that it is a separate form that must be signed from the seller to the buyer agent, notifying them or the buyer what it is if you have agreed to offer for compensation. All right, so there you have it. Everything you needed for listing your home, the exclusive right to list agreement, and the 220, the compensation form for the buyer agent side. If you have any questions, as I mentioned, please drop them below. I will be happy to answer them for you. Please like and subscribe so you never miss any videos that I offer to my buyers and my sellers so that they can be the most educated out there on the market. And share this with somebody who's about to list their home so that they can really understand what is included in the listing agreement. I do want to point out that this is the listing agreement as of July. Well, this one says 10/24, so this hasn't been revised since then. But since July of 2025, the forms change all the time, every single year. This one happens to have stayed the same. So just know, if there's a change in form, we will always update you with the most recent form. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.